Okay, I believe we are streaming live. Good morning, LinkedIn. Welcome to Talk About TV. I'm your host, Michelle Oliver, and every Monday we come to you with one thing about experiential outdoor hospitality with special guest Randy Hendrickson. And today, good morning, Randy. Today we're
Good
going
morning, Michelle.
Randy's going to share something very special. It is what you can learn from Goldilocks. In the world of budgeting and investments, the story of Goldilocks actually offers a very valuable lesson in finding the just right balance, because that's key. So it's so easy to overspend and it's so easy to underspend, correct? And striking that perfect balance ensures sustainable growth. So remember that this lesson of the just right approach carries the day when it comes to investments. Welcome, Randy. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Good morning and happy Monday, LinkedIn world. Time to talk about Goldilocks.
Let's talk about Goldilocks's approach to investing in CapEx.
You,
How would
you
she
know,
handle it? How would she handle it?
it's funny. Sometimes you can take these complex things and distill them down into something silly or simple or just basic. And Goldilocks is one of those things, right? So, I mean, we all remember the story about Goldilocks. But what did Goldilocks do that applies to us? Well, she tried three different combinations of bed and chair and porch, and then she found one that was just right.
That's right.
Well, there's a bit of experimentation that goes along with that process, right? So that in business, you can try some trial and error stuff to find what's just right. You can play with rates, you can play with yield management, you can play with booking policies, cancellation policies, all of which you can recover from pretty adeptly and pretty quickly if you're watching the throughput of what you're experimenting with.
Yeah.
But when you're experimenting with a couple $100,000 worth of accommodation, you don't want to do much trial and error. You want to start with what's just right, right? I mean, that's the whole key to the whole thing. And so that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to find what, if we're going to be buying a park model or a cottage or any other type of accommodation, you're putting a lot of time and capital and input into that. You're thinking about who your guest is now and who your future guest is going to be. Who am I attracting today, but what's happening down the road? You're buying this accommodation in anticipation of years of service, years of revenue. And so, boy, it's a big decision. It's a lot of money. So if to your point, if you go out too ornate and too high and the market doesn't support that, that's the kind of trial and error you don't want to do because you can overspend. You can also grotesquely undershoot the market expectations of your guest. There's a very common, I think, a default setting. None of us like to spend too much money. So maybe I'll just kind of start and ease into this at a really low level and try it out. What if that's a barrier to your guests? What if
Yeah.
they look at that and say, nice try, but that's not me? So, what does all this mean? It means strategy and it means other eyes and ears. So, Evolve was constructed. You and I have set this up from the beginning to provide consultation and multiple offerings to arrive at good solutions. So, what does that mean in real terms? We have over 100 floor plans now at Evolve Lodging from several different key manufacturers. And our role, believe it or not, is not for us to make money. Of course, we have to make a living. We want you to make money. That means let's sit down. Let's go through this handy little calculator that I built that we talked about last week and say, let's talk about your guests. Let's talk about their average spend. Let's talk about where you need to be. Now, with all these different floor plans and alternatives, we can make a recommendation to the client that says, we'd love to sell you this thing that costs more, but that's not right for you. What's right for you is let's throttle that to this next level down, ratchet it down one notch, and get you something you're going to be happy with. If we make you happy, then the next time you want more stuff, you're going to call us because we gave you good advice. So first and primarily, because we're a service provider, yes, we sell all these accommodations, but it's a service providing that we do. We want to say, let's get to the right story together and get you the right fit, not the one that makes us the most money, the one that makes you the most money. Goldilocks, it's finding the right fit.
Goldilocks is about finding the right fit and that perfect balance. And that is your lesson for today. I am going to say one thing, which you inspired this morning, actually, because I think even having that conversation with us can be extraordinarily valuable for anyone. What we notice when we're out doing research in the market is that people tend to default based on their own perspective of years and years and years doing this. And you're always saying that, yes, you have the history, but you also have an innovative, big vision future approach, always looking 3 years ahead, right? And
Yes.
what we see in this research that we do in the marketplace is the default is often either to something considered cutting edge and novel, and that becomes old very quickly because there's no staying power, or it is defaulting to the, like what you're saying, the lower end of the baby bowl, the
Right.
baby chair and the baby porch. So yeah, so just gaining some perspective by having a third party take a look at what you're doing and collaborating with you is a very powerful strategy. It's kind of like somebody knowing the Goldilocks story and reading, like they know the ending and you're still in the middle of it.
Well,
So thank you for
and
the.
you know, here's a great real life example, and it's something you and I talk about, and it's something you and I have gone through with clients already. And it
Mhm.
speaks exactly to the Goldilocks thing about just the right fit. Let's say, for example, that you have in your budget, I'm going to be at $160,000. We'll just pull that number out of the air. And that's to buy the accommodation, that's to do some form of outside living, that's to do furniture, whatever that might be. And you say, I think I can get it done for that. Okay. So with this calculator that we've got, we'll sit with you and go through a couple of A and B scenarios. One scenario might be for that 160, do you buy a $160,000 unit? Right. And just that's my spend. And then you throw bad furniture in it. Now, that's not a good idea. But what if you bought the $120,000 unit and spent $40,000 on interior and exterior living? What if that got you an outside deck and an outside kitchen, great furniture inside and outside the unit? You're going to get more revenue from that unit for the same 160 that you would have gotten if you overspent on the unit and didn't spend enough on the lifestyle, on the FF&E, on the outside deck. So our whole goal at Evolve is to take that calculator, that A and B, and say, let's look at your budget. Now let's try a couple different allocations and let's talk about your guest, your ADR, and what the expectations are. Let's find you the highest yield for the dollar spent. That's our role. And that's what we mean by the Goldilocks thing. What is the right fit? Is it a big outside living area, a small one? None at all. Depends on the footprint of your place. Do you have the square footage outside to do something spectacular outside? Is that going to get you more money? That's where it's not enough just to say, I'm going to have accommodations. Let's style that. What does that look like? What is that right fit?
Exactly. All right, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope this was valuable, and we'll be back next week with one more thing. And I don't remember what we're talking about next week, but
We have
I
lots of one more things.
one more thing next Monday morning, 9:30 Mountain Time. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, everyone. And thank you so much, Randy. Have a great day.
Be good, y'all.